la ciencia.
What is going on? What is going on? The Bills have got a W, opened up the season with a win. Man, guys, that's the way we open up the season. We're so happy to have everybody with us tonight. Thank you for tuning in with us this beautiful night. So, you guys, if you guys been watching for the last couple of years, you know the tradition. Every time the Bills win, we turn into Buckethead Fred. So, Fred, go ahead, man. Let's turn that big hat on, man.
Yes, sir. That's the victory hat right there.
There it is.
I don't know who looks better in a bucket hat or sombrero, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's either Fred Killmartin or Sean McDermott. It's either 1A, 1B. I don't care. It's however you want to dice it up.
Absolutely.
That's it, man. That's it. Guys, beautiful game today. Beautiful game today. The Bills won. But before we get started, while we let some people get in here, we're going to have a message from one of our newest sponsors, our man Brian Allman at Avalanche Healthcare. So listen to what Brian got to say, and we'll come back and we'll break down this game.
What's going on, Bills Mafia? My name is Brian Allman with Avalanche Health Coaching, the official health sponsor of the Cold Front Report. I'll be here every week to give you health tips and tricks to help you meet your goals. So whether you just need to lose that last 10 pounds or you want to start your 150-pound journey, I'm here to coach you every step of the way. Follow us on Facebook for updates, inspiration, and to schedule your free health assessment. Go Bills.
All right, now guys, that's Brian Allman. So if you got any of your healthcare needs and questions, Bills Mafia, please reach out to him. His webpage is his link is actually in the show thing here. You see it. You can click on it. Guys, big game today. Josh Allen, 300 yards, first 300-yard pass in a strand of 49 games. First to do it since our man Tyrod Taylor. Josh looked on point today, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did. I mean, I was impressed with the way he took the game over. He put the team on his shoulders. He started running all over the place, started making throws. I was very impressed with the way that they spread the ball around today. So, yeah, Josh Allen, yeah, he's very impressive today. I'm glad he got the 300 yards. I mean, I know all of us have been talking when we're going to get that 300-yard passer again. Tyrod Taylor, the last Bill to do that, it was a Christmas Eve 2016. So that was a record that was broken today by Josh Allen. Hats off to Allen for playing well today.
Clayton.
Yeah, Josh Allen, he did what he lived up to my expectations, to be quite honest with you, with his 369 total yards, 3 total touchdowns, 72% completion percentage, guys. 72%. He was methodical out there. That first half, he was icing up the Jets secondary. He was having his way with that Jets defense. And to be quite honest, I really expected this out of Allen. That's probably one of the worst defenses you're going to face in terms of pass defense throughout the duration of this entire season. It was my expectation that the Bills were going to come onto their home field and stop the Jets, and that's exactly what it did. And hey, Josh Allen's career performance certainly helped that effort.
No, definitely. And career performance it was. What I really wanted to see is I wanted to see command of this team, and I saw that. And then the second thing I really wanted to look at is I wanted to see how he responded with his accuracy, because obviously we talked about it all offseason and last year, how his intermediate accuracy improved last year, but his deep ball took a hit. And I mean, today, he was on point. 33 or 46. Mind you, I didn't want to throw the ball 46 times, but we'll get into that. But you can't ask for a better game from this kid and open up the season strong, because this is a team that we feel should win the AFC East. We feel like this is a team that should contend possibly for a Super Bowl berth. They're not gonna crown them yet, but they should contend for a Super Bowl berth. But we also feel like this was a Jets team that, with Adam Gase at the helm and all the issues that they've had, that we should come out and we should pretty much take it to them from play one, and we did that.
Yeah, you talk about what this Bills, not even just Josh Allen, the defense. The Bills' defense absolutely stouted this Jets offense. Their first 3 drives ended in 3 and outs. They didn't have a first down until halfway through the second quarter. So that certainly helped the Bills' offense get ahead of steam and get that 21-0 lead that really kind of just sucked the air out of the New York Jets. And they gave a valid fight there at the end, in the third quarter or towards the end of the game, but it just wasn't enough. That Bills team is far too talented, and I felt like the Bills favored the Jets in terms of matchups across the board. So it was just too much for the Jets to handle. And to be quite honest, that fell right in place with my expectations for this game.
Yeah, I got to tell you guys, really, I was really impressed with the way the defense came out firing right off the bat. Everybody was head on the ball. They were flying around. They were putting pressure on Sam Darnold. It was very impressive to watch. And this is why this team is going to be in the top 3 throughout this whole season. Just the fact that they come out and they play. And they were a physical bunch today. I was really impressed with how physical they were, and everyone to the ball. It was very impressive to watch.
Yeah, no, I don't think we expected anything less from this defense and Leslie Frazier having this team prepared and ready to go. We knew that the defense was going to be elite again coming into this season, barring no injury. And we do have to get the injuries today because we had a couple guys go down, a couple key guys that go down. So hopefully they'll get healthy fast. But we knew the defense would come out fast. Even though we knew Josh Norman was not playing this game. We have yet to see Josh Norman in the Bills uniform, but we're comfortable, and most of us were comfortable with Levi Wallace going forward in this ball game. So it was not a surprise or a shock to see that. As far as Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Ed Oliver looked strong today. Harrison Phillips looked extremely strong, starting back in the middle, like he didn't miss a beat from the time he missed from the end of last year. And I thought the linebacking core, like you said, Fred, they flew to the ball.
Yep, absolutely. And another person that stood out was Zimmer. They actually picked him up yesterday and activated him, and he got a sack in this game. I'm sorry, not a sack, but he actually made a tackle in the backfield on Le'Veon Bell. So that was impressive. This is showing the depth that this team has. They got players on the practice squad that are good enough to be on this team on the starting to be able to start, but they're on the practice squad. And this is the depth that this team has in it. It's very impressive to see because it's been a while since we've seen so much depth on the Bills teams.
Going into this game, Jeremy, you really highlighted, you and I talked about it, but you really highlighted the matchup between Teron Johnson and Jamison Crowder in the slot on the defensive side of the ball. And I felt like, aside from that 69-yard touchdown where Tremaine Edmonds kind of didn't really wrap up there, where he had him like 2 yards after he crossed over the line of scrimmage. Aside from that one play, I felt like Taron Johnson did an incredible job containing Jamison Crowder. He was even when Sam Darnold placed the ball right on Jamison Crowder to make plays in the intermediate area of the field, Taron Johnson was right there to break it up. Unless Sam Darnold just threw an errant pass and it went somewhere into Siberia. But I mean, it was an excellent day overall for that Bills defense in its entirety.
No, definitely. And I mean, like I said, we should expect that from the defense. Mm-hmm. These guys have earned their keep as far as expecting a high level of play. And today was no understatement. Even though the Jets were banged up at receiver, we corralled Le'Veon Bell. No, he went out early in the third quarter or second quarter was with the hamstring and then come back. And we saw Frank the Tank come in. Didn't quite look like he would run for 1,000 yards given the carries, but hey, that's neither here or there about that one. But as far as the defensive goes, I don't have much to say about them. I think they did what they're supposed to do against a depleted Jets team, against a very inexperienced Jets team, and actually against a poorly coached Adam Gase Jets team. They did what they were supposed to do today, and hats off to them. But literally, let's dig into this offense. We really got to talk about Josh Allen. We got to talk about the running game. We have to talk about also. We also have to talk about the lack of the running today. I mean, we were kind of scared a little bit that Brian Daboll may go away from the run completely, and it seemed like he may have done that a little bit today. So, Clayton, what did you think about the offense as a whole? And then we'll let you get into Daboll.
I mean, I felt like going into this game, obviously the Jets are very talented on that defensive line. Don't get me wrong. You got Henry Anderson, Steve McClendon at the nose tackle, and then Quinnen Williams. They're the top 5 pick from last year. So obviously they have talent across that 3-man 34 defensive front. But the Bills didn't even try to establish the running attack to start this game. It felt like for the first 3 or 4 series, hell, for maybe even almost the first half, we didn't even hear Devin Singletary or Zach Moss's name or number called for that Bills offense. And to be quite honest with you, I don't care if this offense is producing. I don't care if Josh Allen is putting up 400 yards in the first half. That is not a good way to win football games. That's not when you're going to find this Bills offense at its best. When this Bills offense is at its best and it's running with the most efficiency, you're going to find a balanced attack where they use Josh Allen in play action with play action after they set up the run and establish the line of scrimmage. And they just didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. They didn't let their offensive linemen get into a rhythm, because this is what happens with offensive linemen. You get them setting into their drop sets for the first 2 quarters of the game, and then they're not going to really want to pound the piss out of somebody like they should when they enter a football game. You start the game, you're all eager, you got your nerves. Hell, they didn't even play any preseason games. This is the first time they've gotten to have contact with another team in an opposite uniform, in a different uniform that isn't their teammates that they have to go half speed against in practice. I felt like Brian Daboll did this offense a disservice and kind of set them back a little bit early for the later portions of the game by abandoning the run. I mean, they didn't even abandon the run game. They didn't even think about using it.
You know what? I'm going to go on his point. He's absolutely right. Clayton is right. My thing that impressed me today was the offensive line. I got to tell you, these guys were giving Josh Allen tons of time. Okay, when you got an offensive line that's clicking like that, let's start using these backs. All right, we're up 21-0. I want to see that clock ticking. And not only that, but I'm impressed with Zach Moss. I really wanted to see what him and Devin Singletary did together, and I was kind of disappointed. I didn't get to see that 1-2 punch. Devin Singletary, the second half, he had an opportunity. He broke a long one. You got to give these running backs the ball. They're young kids. They got to get out there. They got to get in the rhythm. This offensive line was blocking today. Why not give these young kids the ball and let them run? I mean, you can't put so much on Josh Allen's shoulders. Yes, the line held up, but we have 2 backs that we drafted in the 3rd round. Give them the rock and let them run.
Yeah, you know what? You guys know, everybody watched this show for the last 2 years, know how I feel about Brian Daboll. Okay? But I will say this today. I'm going to put my hat off to him a little bit here. Even though I'm disappointed in the fact that he abandoned the run game early, which I was been afraid that he would do all year since we got the weapon Stephon Diggs with these other gadgets, the other weapons that we have. He called a solid football game to get, especially taking advantage of the Jets' weak passing game. I mean, these receivers are wide open. Don't get me wrong. John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Stephon Diggs are all very talented receivers. But he took advantage of it. He put his players in position to win. And I like the fact that this is probably the first time that I've actually seen him move his receivers around from slot to outside and moving around. He got Gabe Davis in the game early. And the fact that he came out and he threw, I think, the ball to Gabe Davis, I don't know if it was 2 drives in a row or 2 passes in the same drive. You know, that's unexpected. He got Dawson Knox the ball early. He let Singletary get in early. For the love of God, thank the Lord that he actually caught a screen pass today.
I was just going to say that.
We've been asking for screen passes for like the last 2 years. So I am happy to see that. I have to say hats off to him. He caught a hell of a ball game today. I thought, in my opinion, besides the running game, I think we'll get there. But as far as the passing game goes, he looked very competent today. And damn it, I can't say anything bad about Brian Daboll with the passing game.
Wow.
Can't do it.
That's impressive.
Hey, man.
That's impressive.
You're playing the clip right now. You should play that clip again because you saw probably one of my favorite players or favorite new additions to this offense have a hell of a block. He got out there with all kinds of mobility. Darrell Williams. And, you know, Fred kind of touched on the offensive line, solid day. I would rather say that they had a solid day in pass protection. I felt like they handled the Jets pass rush immaculately. I felt like there were some issues with Josh recognizing where the blitz is coming from with Marcus May. That kind of led to him getting sacked 3 times. That's why you see that number on the stat line. But overall, I felt like the offensive line handled that Jets defensive line when it came to the pass rush, when it came to their size with Basham and, Jenkins coming off of the opposite edge. Darrell Williams, he had a hell of a football game. I feel like that's something that not a lot of people are talking about because when I watched Darrell Williams play play right tackle for the Buffalo Bills today, I saw the best right tackle that's played for the Bills quite literally with my own eyes. Like that's probably the best right tackle play that the Bills have had in pass protection since I've really been watching football. They haven't had much talent on that side of the offensive line for quite some time. I mean, you talk about last year when they were rotating Nsekhe and Ford. Ford was kind of murky. And then you talk about, let's not forget about Jordan Mills. But Darrell Williams, I said it since the day that they signed that deal come to Buffalo that the Bills' right side of the offensive line was going to consist of Cody Ford and Darrell Williams. And that's what happened. And I felt like that was the best pass protection performance by this offensive line today.
You know, I want to touch on what JT had said about the screen pass. I haven't seen this many screen pass plays called since Shane Gailey was here as a head coach.
Yep.
This almost looked like a Shane Gailey offense to me. We had a tight end screen, a wide receiver screen, and a running back screen. And the only way to slow down a very aggressive blitzing defense is to run a screen against them. Hats off to Daboll. I mean, I don't know where he got it from. Maybe somebody whispered it in his ear. I don't know, but it was impressive to see him make those calls today.
Like, don't get me wrong. Could his play call have been better? Yes. Could he have been better in the second half? Definitely. I definitely agree with that. But what we've been getting the last 2 seasons, this game right here was definitely an upgrade, in my opinion, for what we've been getting. Now, there's still a ways to go. If we want to be a contender, his play calling is going to have to be consistent. He's still going to be better than what he's doing. But for the time being, in this game right here, just off this game, there you go. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to kill the guy today. I'm not going to kill him today. So I thought he did a hell of a job. And you really think about it, we did leave some points on the board. We missed 2 field goals.
Yes.
2 fumbles.
That's 30. That's 33. 2 from. Yeah, I mean, we really could have put up 45 points today.
Let me ask you guys on that first field goal that Tyler Bass had kicked. Is that good or is that out?
That's good.
Too close. You know what? My mother always taught me, if you don't want to give anybody a stick to crack your head, don't give them a stick to crack it with, pretty much. So I'm going to say it was no good. Put it right through the uprights, and then we don't have that question, all right? So let's hop right into Tyler Bass. Obviously, we knew the question was going to come today after he missed the 2 field goals, and he almost missed the 3rd. Did we make a mistake by letting go of Stephen Hausch? Because obviously people are going to jump on the kid. I have my opinion on it, but I'm going to let you guys go first. Clayton, what you think about Tyler Bass today? Are we worried?
Would I be worried about Tyler Bass's status with the roster come around Tuesday? Probably, because the Bills brought in kickers for tryouts last week, and that was kind of a curious decision. And I was paying attention to that, and I wasn't quite sure as to why they did that. You know, they brought in 3 kickers as soon as roster cutdowns were official, and they had their 53-man roster set to put, and they were preparing for the New York Jets. But then here comes this rookie kicker, and he damn near missed all of his field goals that he attempted that weren't PATs. So am I concerned about Tyler Bass and his roster status? Absolutely, because you can't miss field goals in this league. And it wasn't a close game today, but if that was a close game, such as the Titans game last year where we saw the Titans kicker miss 4 field goals, and if he made, 2 of those, 2 or 3 of those, the Bills probably lose that game and the Titans win. And that completely changes the landscape of how the AFC playoff picture looked at the end of the season. Now, you can't have that type of performance against quality football teams. I don't consider the Jets or the Dolphins, so their first 2 opponents, to be quality football teams at this point. But when you start playing teams like the Rams, when you start playing teams like the Chiefs, when you start playing teams like the 49ers, the Seahawks, the teams that are perennially there in the picture of conference titles at the end of the season, those types of mistakes will come back and bite your team in the rear. So, yes, I think they're going to be looking for somebody to replace him for kicker. I do think it's a possibility that they're going to show a sign of faith and maybe give him a shot against the Dolphins next week. I think there's a possibility that will happen. But in my opinion, I think they're probably going to look elsewhere. If they can't find anywhere, I feel like they're going to have to settle for Tyler Bass next week.
I agree. I disagree. I mean, I think it's just because he's a rookie. I think this is the first game. He's come out. He had no preseason, so he didn't really get that practice in to make those kicks. And one thing I noticed on that kick that he missed, that thing came off his foot awfully fast, and that was a high kick. The goalposts are 10 feet. This thing was above that, probably by an inch. It was good. They said it wasn't good, and it could be just that he missed it, but regardless, the kid came back. And I also noticed on the one kickoff, he booted it at least 4 yards in the back of the end zone. The kid's got to boot. He's young. He's got to get comfortable with his team. I think he'll be all right.
No, I agree. So this is my opinion on Tyler Bass today. Personally, I think he's just a rookie. It's his first game. Mind you, he didn't play at LSU. He didn't play at Alabama. He didn't play at Georgia. Played at Georgia Southern. Okay, now they played some of those teams, but he didn't play in a game of this level at all of college, really, except the LSU blowout that he did make 2 field goals and they got blown out of Georgia Southern. Okay, this is his first game. I don't think we're that hard on the kid. The fact is this: if we had to attempt a 54-yard field goal today, would we be able to trot him out there and attempt the kick?
Yep.
I say yes. And that's a whole hell of a lot better than what we could do last year.
Yep.
Just the truth about it. We would not trot Hauschka out there last year for anything over a 50-yarder, it seemed like. So I'll let the kid get the jitters out. I'll even give the kid 2 weeks. Even if he struggles for 2 weeks and we win both games, then maybe the 3rd week on Tuesday, I'm bringing in more kickers. This Tuesday, I may not bring in kickers. You still drafted this kid, the 5th round?
6th.
Yep. 6th round? Okay. So we drafted this kid in the 6th round. I would not bring in kickers this Tuesday. I would not shake his confidence at all. I would show him a full cup of faith and let him regroup. I think this kid is going to be great. And I think with his leg, this is a guy that we can have in Buffalo for the next 10 years, which is huge because we know how important it is to have kickers, especially in the wintertime when the weather becomes very inclement.
Yeah, because only certain kickers are able to adjust to those swirling winds at Bill's Stadium. I'm sorry, I got to say it properly. At Bill's Stadium, because you never know which way the wind's going to blow. Steve Christie was able to, Norwood, he was able to, and so was Ryan Lindell. So it takes that special kicker to come up there and adjust to these swirling winds. If this kid can kick in October, December, he's a keeper.
I mean, you're talking about the swirling winds, and I kind of agree with you because with those 2 kicks that he missed, the first 2 particularly, I felt like it looked like the kind of kicks where in Buffalo the wind just kind of took it and it took it wide right of the uprights. But that's something that the kid needs to get acclimated with, and I feel like that's something to come with time. And I tend to agree with Jeremy. If you give him time and you let him learn how to use this weather, maybe even to his advantage, if you were to go as far as to say that, I feel like that would be more beneficial to Buffalo than they were to just can the kid after one bad game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we didn't can Peterman after one game. Call it for what it is, man. We didn't can up the game. So anything
after season,
anything after Nate Peterman, you have to give everybody a shot, at least 2. Okay. So I just think we need to hold back. But so we have a lot of questions going in the chat, and unfortunately, people, the way this was shared tonight, I'm getting your comments in my screen on my phone, but I'm not getting all your comments on things. So I'm going to start reading some of these comments off and get into some of your questions inside the chat off my phone because I can't put them up on the screen because they're not there for me. It's not an option. And I'll have a guy with a machete to put them up there for us. They're scary. I need to put them up there for you. So
I'll see what I can do.
Game. So Josh Allen had 14 carries today. I thought it was too many. Fred, I know you think it was too many. Clayton, I don't know what your opinion is on it. A lot of people in the chat feel like Josh Allen had way too many carries today. So, Fred, please dig right into it. 14 carries, you thought it was too much. You got a little nervous there.
I mean, I did think it was too much because you had two running backs that had 18 carries. So, I mean, even though it's four more than what he had. The thing is that we touched on it last year. Is this the game plan? Is this what Daboll's putting together? Is he seeing something that we're not seeing? Because we're all from Buffalo, okay? We know what the weather is going to do when it starts getting closer towards December. We need our running backs to be able to hit those holes. They got to get into a rhythm. I like to see the pounding ground, not after Rex Ryan, but I like to see the pounding ground. Takes time off the clock. You know, it gives your defense a chance to rest more when you're running the ball and you're taking time off the clock. I don't understand why Daboll does not do it. We've seen a lot today of a spread. We had 4 wides. We had a couple of times where empty backfield. We have 2 stud running backs. Let's run these guys. I'm only worried because we know what happens in the NFL with a quarterback that runs, time catches up and they have injuries.
No, I agree. I'm not totally against it. Like I said, I'm not against what you're saying at all. I feel like we need to protect this guy a lot more than what we're doing. If we're going to come out here and throw the ball 46 times a game, we really need to keep him protected because that means you have full confidence in to sling the ball around. So, Clayton, what was your opinion on the 14 carries?
Rob Rovers pretty much embodied it. Daboll's going to Daboll, baby. Daboll's going to Daboll. That's pretty much what I said. Daboll's going to Daboll because this isn't a different offense. We've had this conversation before, haven't we? We had it after Cleveland. We had it after Philly. We had this conversation on more than one occasion, and it typically came after the Bills lost a game. That's to my recollection. But this time it worked. But in reference to the quarterback runs in its entirety, I understand it in this game. I understood why they got it going on that first drive, particularly where we saw Josh Allen fumble the ball inside the 10-yard line. He couldn't do that. I felt like that was more so on Allen than it was the play call. You can't knock the play call. He got a first down on the carry. But on the second fumble, where it was a quarterback sweep. They were inside the 20. It was the red zone. The clock was draining down at the second half. Why? Why are we doing that? There's no point to do that. You're up 21 points to 0, and you are putting your quarterback in a position in which, hey, Josh Allen's a baller. We've seen it. We've seen him jump over people. We've seen him reach over people. We've seen him juke people. We've seen him dance around. He will do whatever he has to do to get that yardage. We know that about Josh Allen. That's just his mentality. That's just how he is wired. So you are putting Allen at risk. I believe it was on second down on a quarterback sweep. It was like second and 7, if I remember right. But you're in the red zone. You're driving. You have pretty much guaranteed points at this point. The Jets are calling timeouts. You're trying to run down the clock and not give them opportunity with the ball at the end of the second half. But you don't need to give the ball to your 6'6" quarterback. Okay, this is the thing, because we might talk about it right now. And we might have talked about it last season about, oh, well, it's okay right now. It's okay right now because he's young, because he just got in the league, because he hasn't been hit this many times. Josh Allen took way too many hits in that second half for a football team that went into that second half up 21-3. I'm sorry. But Josh Allen, if we run Josh Allen, and don't get me wrong, I don't anticipate them to do this every single football game. But if you do it more times than not, he's going to end up like Cam Newton in 4 years. And to be quite honest, I see far too much potential, far too much long-term potential for Josh Allen to see his career pissed and wasted away like Cam Newton's was after his MVP season.
And my problem with him running this much, we have weapons now on offense. There's no reason for it. Why are we doing this?
You don't need your quarterback. You have 2 third-round picks in your backfield that you should be using. Yep, I understand why you used it against the Jets to get this offense in a flow, because you're going against one of the second best run defense from 2019. I understood why they used it at first to get this offense kind of in a flow. But when you get into the second quarter, when you get into the third quarter, and we haven't heard Singletary or Moss's name called yet, that's a problem.
No, and I totally agree. Like I said, I'm not against the quarterback running calls. I am when Josh Allen is this important to our team. Because there's other teams that have just as athletic quarterbacks as Josh Allen that could do this, but they choose not to at a certain point with their quarterback because they don't want to get hurt. I just feel like if this is what we want to do, we want to incorporate this to our offense, then we should have drafted someone late, or we should bring in a free agent who could do this late. You know what I mean? That we can put in this lineup and do that. Obviously we saw the Eagles take a Jalen Hurts in the second round. That was a guy that hopefully I was looking for maybe in the 4th or 5th round to do this type of stuff with. So maybe we should look around the market and see, hey, is there somebody available that can come in and do justice for these plays? I mean, obviously I don't want to get into the wildcat formation and putting people like Singletary or John Brown at quarterback, even though we know John Brown can throw the ball. He's like 2 for 2 with 2 touchdowns. But I want to have an actual real threat at still passing the ball. So remember years ago, Miami drafted Pat White in the second round. I believe that's when they incorporated the Wildcat. There has to be somebody on the market that's somewhere in that type of element or that type of realm that we can bring in here. I mean, especially we're going to leave Jake Fromm inactive every week, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be active every week, that we can bring in that can do this. That's all. I don't want to see the guy get hurt, because let's face reality. If Josh Allen gets hurt, our season is down the tank. There's no free agent quarterback. Yep. There's no trade for any quarterbacks can come in there and save this ship. Our season's down the tank if he goes down, and that's just reality. Matt Barkley, for that one Jets game, that was great. It was a great story. But the real Matt Barkley was that Patriot game last year when Josh Allen won a concussion, and that's what we have backing up. So if Josh goes down, our season's down the tubes. So it is what it is. I'm not going to hold back. So we need to be a little bit more careful with what we're doing, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. I mean, I can see it right now. I mean, you're going to run this kid. Even I was cringing every time he took off, and he took some good hits today. I mean, those are like a couple of times I was wondering if he was going to get up, and you don't need that out of franchise quarterback. You really don't. I mean, I don't know if it was what's that? I don't know if it was a play call or was it just Josh Allen, or was it just Josh Allen doing it himself? You know what I mean?
Today, I honestly felt like you saw like the maximization of the potential of Josh Allen, because you saw a little bit of everything with him today, did you not? You saw him running around the pocket. You saw the improvisation. You saw him running around the field. You saw an MVP caliber quarterback today with what he has, with what he can do, with his skill set. I felt like you saw that from Josh Allen today. But there's just situations in which Brian Daboll should not be calling certain plays, and that one example I gave you towards the red zone is a perfect example of one of them. I love what he was doing with the screens, like we talked about earlier with it. I mean, hell, even with that swing look they were running, that was something brand new. I haven't even seen ran in a professional offense before. They run a look where they'd have the running back run out of the backfield almost as if it was a swing route, and then they bring a jet sweep and then run a screen as well. It was there was a lot of really creative play design in there. And I liked a lot of the new stuff that he let Josh Allen run, that he let this offense run, because obviously it worked, because they put up 27 points and they beat a football team that they should have beaten. And Josh Allen had definitely his most efficient game to date. You don't complete 72% of your passes when you attempt 46 of them, damn near 50 passes. And he 70% of them, that's a hell of a day for the quarterback throwing the ball. I felt like if you just threw the ball with him more, it was going to still work. It was still working for Josh Allen throwing the ball from the pocket, or whether he had to roll out and whatnot. But I did like the motion that they were running with him. I just felt like some of the decisions that were made to run him on quarterback sweeps, quarterback powers, quarterback draws, they were ill-advised decisions in those situations more so.
And you want to know something? I think that Josh Allen was running so much today, and that was the reason why he missed John Brown in the back of the end zone. That was a footwork. He didn't plant his feet. He should have hit him right in stride. There was nobody around him, but he was also looking to run the ball. Then all of a sudden he must have seen him out of the court. But that's a footwork thing. And I think that you shouldn't run him. Let the plays develop before you decide running. And I think that was part of it today, was when he missed John Brown in the back of the end zone. That should have been a touchdown.
No, definitely. He missed John Brown. And like I said, we'll get to John Brown and Stephon Diggs. I actually want to talk about this entire receiving core as a trio today, because that looked very, very dangerous and deadly. But before we do, I want you guys to make sure that you guys are always checking out for the latest promotion at Cold Socks. So Dan Gavino and the guys over there at Colds. Make sure you go to www.coldsocks.com to get all your Bills Mafias, area code socks. He got them in Sabres colors and Bills colors and multiple Bills colors. He still got the Poncho Power socks that still go to part of the proceeds goes to Poncho's family. So with it being open day, we want to make sure we get that. And then guess what? If you use the code CFR with your promo code, you get 20% off. Tell Dan we sent you. But the receiving core, we got to see Stephon Diggs today, finally in the Bills uniform. We ain't better see nothing all year, all season. Stephon Diggs, to me, he looked as good as advertised. I don't think Stephon's a guy you can guard in the phone booth. His footwork is amazing. He took some shots, as Fred alluded to. He showed toughness today. But Stephon, 8 yards. I mean, 8 catches, 86 yards. I think Mario Granada last night said on the Saturday Night Tailgate he would have 80 yards receiving. Yeah. Just saying he had 86. So, you know, Price is right. Mario Price wins. Hashtag sports, Davey. Mario's right. But let me know what you guys thought of Stephon Diggs. Clayton, I'll come to you first. What do you think about Diggs?
Stephon Diggs, he was as advertised, to say the least. You're talking about a guy who was brought into Buffalo to be the number one wide receiver. Well, he looked like it today. And we were talking to Fred about it earlier. He was taking shots. There was a few passes where Josh Allen could have put it in a little bit of a better spot for Stephon Diggs, but he didn't make a business decision. This man's making $15 million this year. He toughed it up. He gritted his teeth. He grabbed that ball, and he slowly got up and went back to the huddle. That is the kind of stuff you want to see from number one wide receiver. And the last quote-unquote number one wide receiver that was brought into Buffalo was Sammy Watkins. And to be quite honest, I saw more plays made by Stephon Diggs today than Sammy Watkins could dream of making. I did not see that dog mentality.
Slow down, Cowboy. Slow down, Cowboy. Go ahead, Fred. Slow down, Cowboy.
Sammy Watkins loved going out of bounds, and he loved making business decisions. I
like to see Stephon Diggs go out of bounds, too. Yeah, Fred.
Here's the thing with Stephon Diggs. Here's the thing with Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen was actually putting the ball around him, and this guy was catching everything that came around him. Yeah, he had 9 targets, and he caught 8 of them. But these weren't just clean passes. These were passes that he had to work for to catch. And he's proven that he's a number one wide receiver, and he could be for this team. I would have liked to seen him get a touchdown. I think that would have been huge. But overall, I was very impressed with Diggs. I loved his toughness. He took 3 shots. 2 of them were in the back, and I'm praying that he's going to be okay, because those are some serious shots, and he got up and did his thing. So hopefully he'll be all right, and he'll be here next week too.
He's going to need an ice bath tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to need 2 or 3.
Yeah. Get him an ice bag. Get him a little raise too. We can throw a little million at him. You know, Starler Thule opting out gave us a little bit of cat space. So I'm not gonna go a show without mentioning Star. I'm gonna forget that. You can throw him a little mill, Brandon. But yeah, I thought Stephon was as good as advertised. Like somebody brought in the chat, he brought a lot of attitude today. He brought footwork. You know, he was chirping. That's one of the things that I love to see about this team. Like I've been saying for the last couple of years, we need some attitude, some real in-depth attitude on both sides of the ball. And I think Josh Norman's going to bring it on the defensive side, and I think Stephon Diggs is going to bring it on the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, they were chirping. The Jets talking, because when you get faced with Greg Williams defense, they're going to talk. No matter, I don't care if they up, they down, they losing, they gonna talk. And Stephon is chirping right back with them. And I hope that everybody, by the end of the season comes, that everybody is chirping back. Go in there. Don't let anybody come on your turf. Don't let anybody, as I'm saying, piss on your field. They talk, you talk back. That whole thing a couple years ago where Gronk jumped on Trey White's head, no one retaliated, those days are over. Like I've said before, I've said this 4 weeks ago on this same channel, that everybody in the AFC East better get ready, because this team is a different Bills team. Not only is it talented, because we've had talented teams in the past, but this team has a real attitude on the offensive line, on the defensive line, in the linebacking core, in the secondary, and now in the receiving core, and even with Moss in the backfield. You got some real attitude. So if you think you're going to come into Buffalo and you think you're going to play on our field or you're going to chirp at us, you're not. We're going to come to your city, or you're going to come to our city. Don't matter, fans or no fans, Buffalo's going to kick your ass. And that's what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah, you talk about the attitude, and, I felt like you and I kind of paralleled in these worries of the early stages of the quote-unquote process of I hope it ain't going to just be cupcakes and butterflies process, church boys. And that was a real concern of mine. It was just like, no, you need to have some dogs out there to play football. You need some dogs out there to win a championship. There's a certain mentality you need in order to be really championship caliber. There's a mentality that parallels with that. And, I felt like after that first fumble, I'll use this as an example, because I felt like it was very indicative of that attitude of the quarterback, Josh Allen, who was also chirping out there today. I love seeing Josh Allen talking his ish when he gets up after taking a hit from whoever it may be. But after that first fumble, Josh Allen got up. I saw him. He waved his hand. He made that snap of the finger. He cussed under his breath. Everyone can lip read. But he went out there the next drive. He diced up that Jets defense. He kept his head in the game. He didn't make a mistake. They scored a touchdown. They were 14-0 at that point after that, or 7-0 at that point. And that's the kind of mentality that needs to carry throughout the entirety of the season.
Hey, what is it? It's one family, plain and simple. That's how they're treating us. It's one family. And you're going to look out for your family members. You know that. And that's what this team is doing. A lot of us who have been Bills fans for years, you're not used to this process. Even myself, I'm kind of optimistic. Every time I watch these guys play, I pick up on something that's different from the past Bills teams. I know everyone brings up the 90s. I think this team is building something better than the 90s. I think something's being built in Buffalo, and it's very impressive. And if you're not on the fan wagon, you need to jump aboard.
No, don't even jump. Don't jump on now. Don't jump on now. We ain't got no more seats on this boat. If you want on it, you ain't on this plane. You're COVID restricted. You can't come here. Stay right where you're at. If you've been on the Patriot boat, the Jets boat, the Giants, whoever you've been on, stay right where you're at. We don't need any more fans on this boat.
One thing about Stephon Diggs today, he got a man benched. That Jets secondary is straight garbage, and he got their best corner benched today. That's how good he is. That's how good he is. Get used to it. Get used to it. That is the Bills' best offensive weapon, and he's probably one of the 3 best in the league, without a doubt.
I'll tell you, this offense, if you look at this offense, I mean, it spells troubles for defense all the way across the board. And think about this. We didn't have the 4 preseason games. I'm sorry, 3. Okay, we only play our starters 3. But you didn't have that for them to get that bond. As this season goes on, it takes a month for an NFL team to show an identity. I think this team is starting to show their identity, that they are tough and they're resilient.
Well, let's look at it. Sean McDermott is a very mild-mannered coach that we see, okay? But Sean McDermott, what he is a professional, okay? Behind the scenes, Sean McDermott he's a man of faith. He's consistent, and if you watch anything that Lorenzo Alexander said on this platform on Thursday night, he said he doesn't take any crap. He's a wrestler. He's a football player himself. He's tough, and he's going to build this team in his image. But I think for the first couple of years, he had to be kind of mild-mannered, make sure the team was doing everything the right way, shut up and go play. But I think now he got a bunch of dogs, and they're ready to go play. And he's going to unleash them. He's going to unleash everything that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? We haven't had a coach like that since Marv Levy. And I can't say it enough that watch this team. Watch how they act on and off the field. It's because of McDermott. It's what he's instilling in these players. You think about how young this team is. I mean, they got to be one of the youngest teams in the NFL right now. But they follow McDermott. I saw Micah Hyde today limp off, and I thought he was done. I thought it was a serious injury. He wasn't out long. These guys want to play for McDermott. They want to be out there. They want to support each other. And it's because of what they're building in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, that's completely right. But another person I want to talk to about John Brown. Now, John Brown had a very good game today, and he got the fruits of labor today from the Diggs effect, that we're going to dub it, the Diggs effect. So it was John Brown who ate today. Cole Beasley had a bad game. He still had 4 receptions, 58 yards. But it was Brown who drew the second cover guy. And if we remember when we had Matt Perino on this show back in the summer, he said John Brown is not a number 1 receiver. He said John Brown is he's okay if you have him as number 1 receiver, as long as you got a decent number 2. But he said John Brown was an elite number 2 guy. And that's exactly what he was today, an elite number 2 guy. 6 catches, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. Could have easily been 2 touchdowns if Josh didn't overthrow the ball in the end zone. But John Brown had a phenomenal game. Fred, I want you to start off. What did you think about John Brown's performance and the Diggs effect?
I knew it was going to happen just because Diggs is going to get all the attention. John Brown's last year, he had the help over top. Now it's one-on-one, and he's shown what kind of a receiver he is. He's a possession-type receiver. He does have speed. I was very impressed with him, but I kind of expected it because with Diggs being here now, John Brown's not the focus. Now you got to focus on your number 1 receiver, which is Diggs. But it was great to watch him perform out there today. He made a couple tough catches. He took a couple tough hard hits as well. But John he's a worker. I mean, this guy, he straps up the helmet. He goes to work. You don't hear nothing about this guy, but he just goes out there and performs. I'm very, very impressed with John Brown.
Clayton, anything on the smoke?
I really hope a lot of people listened to me last night when I said you should start John Brown in your fantasy leagues because, hey, he didn't win me my game, but he was the most productive player on my team with his 20 points. Yeah, hey, he did really good today. I said I love the matchup for John Brown today. It was going up against Bleswan Austin. Bleswan Austin, an okay game, but not as good as John Brown. I felt like John Brown. I said going to this game, I felt like he was going to have at least 6 catches. I said 100 yards. He got pretty close, 70% of the way there, and a touchdown. Definitely a productive day for John Brown. And you talk about the Stephon Diggs effect, and I kind of talked about this last night on the Saturday Night Tailgate show. You're going to see this throughout the season because a lot of teams do have that one good corner. Use the Patriots. I wouldn't use the Patriots as an example. But the Jets are I wouldn't use the Patriots as an example. But look at the New York Jets. You talk about a team that doesn't really have much talent behind their number one corner. There's a lot of teams in the NFL like that. There's only so many cornerbacks to go around for 32 NFL teams. So their first corner is Pierre Desir, and we all figured he was going to be covering Stephon Diggs as he did until he got benched. But that pushes the second guy to John Brown. Whereas last year we're talking about Pierre Desir covering John Brown, whereas that's a tougher matchup. Now John Brown has all the room to run, as we saw today on his one touchdown play that you're playing right on the screen. Hey, he was a productive player today because of the room that Stephon Diggs opened up for him on the opposite side of the field. So get used to this, folks, because Stephon Diggs is a weapon in himself. He's going to do great things for this Bills offense. He's going to do even greater things for those surrounding him, such as Dawson Knox, John Brown, and Cole Beasley, which we saw that today. And I think that's going to be a theme throughout the season as long as this offense is running with efficiency and Josh Allen is executing it properly.
Let's not forget about McKenzie.
Hey, that's my guy now. That's my guy now. That's my guy. McKenzie made this team. Having Diggs on this team even opens up more for people like McKenzie and Knox. And I would like to see Knox use a little bit more today. But going further in the season, the fact that we put up 27 points, which really could have been 40 very easily, a couple of mistakes here and there. And we didn't even use the running game. We didn't really use Dawson Knox today. And we kind of used Cole Beasley. That's scary. This almost seemed like this team, if they can put together, and Dable can continue to improve on his play calling and his, as I call it, his play calling rhythm. Not so much the play calling, but the rhythm itself. This team possibly could rival the Palace of Points team of 91. But the defense is a lot better. It's one thing about the early 90s Bills team. The early 90s Bills teams had some good defenses. They had some elite players, but as a core, they weren't exactly elite. They were okay. You know what I mean? But they weren't elite. This defense is elite and legit and ready to go. The fact that we can, and we have to talk about this, the fact that we deactivated today AJ Epinesa, our top draft pick, and we didn't even miss a beat. We were fine. That's something that, God knows in Buffalo, we've been drafted for 10 years there. This guy started from day one, no matter how bad they did. We started Aaron Maven for like 3 years.
Oh, my God. Okay. Good thing the Jets picked him up for us.
Yeah. So, the fact that we could deactivate him, and not even play our top 2 draft pick is, that shows you how deep this team is. Like you said, Clayton, Darrell Williams.
Yep.
Pro Bowl, if he gets back to his all-pro level, this team is elite on both sides of the ball. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it.
And if you look at the defense today, it wasn't just one person making plays. It was several players on that defensive side of the ball making plays, including Darrell Johnson when he was chasing what's his? I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now. Down the field. The guy is a big kid and he's still trying to make a play down the field. But everywhere you look, Oliver, Harrison Phillips, Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, my man Trent Murphy making play. Everybody was making a play. Poyer, come on, everybody. It's not one person. It's all of them.
Trent Murphy better make a play. He better have 7 sacks, 1 sack for every 1 million or 7 million he's getting this year.
He's still making plays.
Going to have those D linemen combined.
He's still there making plays.
All right, I'm not gonna knock him. Trent got a sack today or sack and a half, whatever it was. He's healthy. But $7 million still, it's still for me to tough pill for me to swallow right now. But AJ Epinesa, before we're gonna get off about 5-7 minutes here. AJ Epinesa, Were you guys surprised to see him on the inactive list? Fred, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I thought, being the first game of the season, with no preseason, why not put the kid out there? Even if he didn't want to play him a lot, maybe let him get a taste of some live action and see how he performs. I was really surprised on that inactive today.
Yeah, Clayton. I mean, you're a guy from the trenches.
I didn't really get it, to be quite honest with you, because if I'm the coach and I'm making that decision, I activate AJ Epinesa in favor of Daryl Williams, to be quite honest with you. To get that second round,
Daryl Johnson,
get his feet.
Daryl Johnson?
Yeah, Daryl Johnson. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. I activate him in favor of Daryl Johnson, and 110%. So it's kind of an interesting decision, and I feel like there's more to it than we know. I feel like it may be a disciplinary reason, or maybe there's an injury they just didn't report. Or maybe this Bills team is just too damn talented to the point where they had their second-round pick and activated it. So I'm not quite sure as to why they inactivated AJ Epinesa. I would have loved to see him get his hands on Mekhi Becton today and get his hands on what I think is probably one of the worst offensive lines in football, because I felt like he would have had a decent day. And I mean, not to mention, you have a 6'6", 280-pound guy that's versatile, that can play 3 technique, 1 technique, 5 technique. You can play him all across that defensive line, as they've coached him to do throughout the duration of training camp. So it was a very peculiar decision, but I'm not sure. We'll have to see next week if it's going to be a decision that's made with any kind of consistency. Maybe it is a lingering injury, or maybe it was just a disciplinary reason. Who knows?
I don't think it's any discipline. I mean, I've heard anything like that, but in McDermott's last press conference, he did kind of allude to that. Epinesa was kind of struggling a bit, so I'm assuming that has to do a lot with it. As my man Wesley just put in the chat, bust. I hope not. But honestly, when we see that he's deactivated first game, that's the first thing came to mind. Like, oh God, this guy's a bust. I'm not gonna. I mean, this is a talented defensive line. Let's just be honest. It's very deep, and it's a lot of veterans on this D line as well. I mean, hell, Daryl Johnson, as Fred alluded to earlier, off air, almost ran down Jamison Crowder on the screen. Right. So it shows how athletic he is. But yeah, it was a little scary for me to see him deactivated this early in the season. But hey,
But you know what? We know how McDermott treats defensive players that are rookies. They pull back the reins on them. They did it last year with Ed Oliver. They give him a taste and then they pull him back. So maybe it wasn't in the game plan. Maybe we'll see him next week.
Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. I doubt it though. I mean, the way that D line played today, I don't think you can sit any one of those guys down.
Right. Yeah, and you didn't even have Vernon Butler. You didn't even have Vernon Butler, who they were expecting to have into this game.
And we didn't miss Star Latulippe. We didn't miss Star Latulippe.
Who's that?
What are you talking about?
JT's number one guy.
Boston Panther guy?
What you're talking about. But yeah, guys, let's see. So let's go around. Let's give out our game balls here. Clayton, I'll come to you first. Who's your game ball going to today?
Easy decision. It's a rookie decision too. It's the easy decision. Josh Allen, of course. You talk about the dude who went out there. He got it done today. Pure and simple. He got it done today. 369 total yards, 72% completion percentage to go with it. We've seen these kind of games for Josh Allen before. We've seen him go off where he kind of has over 300 total yards with his rushing and his passing, but we've never really seen it where he's put it all together. I understand you can kind of say that he didn't really put it all together today because he put the ball on the ground twice. But from a passing perspective, he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't throw it to the other team. He threw a few hairy, dicey passes, but more times than not, he was throwing it to his football team. He was completing it to his team. He completed 72% of his completion or of his passes today. That in itself is extremely impressive, considering I believe he completed 57 last year, if I'm right, in that area, in that ball, 59 and a half. We'll call it 59. I think it was 59 and a half. Someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. But it was market improvement for Josh Allen today, and it was the improvement that I needed to see in week 1 to have any kind of optimism or have the expectations that I have going into the season going forward. And hey, he lived up to my expectations today, and my expectations are being held for this 2020 season that the Bills are pushing for a Super Bowl championship, not just the divisional championship.
All right, Fred, who you got?
I got my man Smoke, 11 and a half points average on passing. He had 6 of 70 yards and a touchdown. John Smoke making opportunities, taking advantage of those opportunities, and quietly being another player on the team.
You got Smoke, man. You can't go wrong with Smoke. Let's see. My game ball. I guess I'm gonna give my game ball to You know, I'm going to give it to Stephon Diggs. I was thinking about Harrison Phillips there, and it was I was coming down to Harrison Stephon. I'm going to give it to Diggs. And the reason I'm going to give my game ball to Diggs is because just the attitude that he's bringing to this team. I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing. It's not so much his playmaking ability, but his attitude as well. This guy, you can't, like I said, alluded to before, you can't guard him in the phone book. And he's going to let you know inside that phone booth you can't guard him. And when he comes out the phone booth, he's going to let you know again you can't guard him. And I love that, you know. I love that. Now, if I was a corner, I was guarding him, I may try to give him a rib shot or something because of it. But, hey, it is what it is. I'm giving it to Diggs. I just love the attitude he's bringing. I think he's going to make a hell of an impression on his team, and I think he's just going to bring up the overall confidence level. But you know, we do have a question in the chat, and I do want to address this one question from my guy named Kevin Tucker. He says, why? I've been watching the Bills over 40 years. That's why. We haven't beaten the team over 500, haven't scored more than 17 points in those games. We haven't won a playoff game, and Josh Allen was throwing mostly short passes again today against the bad D. And still missing, we haven't won a playoff game. Okay, well, Kevin, here it is. All right, listen, we're not – I mean, what do you want? You know what I mean? This team is not accounting for the last 40 years. This team is not accounting for the last 10 years. This team is accounting for the last 3 years since Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have been here, okay? And actually, Josh Allen has been accounting for technically really the last 2 years. We can't hold them accountable for mistakes of the past. And yes, I'm not putting them on a pedestal with the teams from the 90s, but what I'm saying is the way this team is being built, the way the depth is, the way they're managing the cap space, everything that they're managing, the way they're managing, this team can be better than teams in the 90s. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and this may be a tough point for people and a tough pill for people to swallow. It takes this team right here to win 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 1 Super Bowl. And that team is better than the team in the 90s. Sorry, not sorry. I'm saying I'm just telling the truth. That team was great. They went to 4 AFC East championships. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls. But guess what? They didn't get the job. They didn't win 1. So this team needs 1. As the count guy from Sesame Street used to say, 1. 1. That's all it takes. This team is better than the team in the 90s is 1. So I'm just going to call it like it is, man.
And you know what? When JT's saying that, I mean, I've been a Bills fan since '85, all right? If this team was to win the Super Bowl, everybody, I'm sorry to say, will probably forget the teams in the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe not the greatest comeback in NFL history, but some of those Super Bowls will be
hey, listen, Fred, I wasn't born, so I can forget. I don't put guys on the same pedestal everybody else does. I don't. Oh, we gotta get back to the Var Levy days. No, Jeremy is 110%. Yep. Takes is 1 shot in 1 game, and if you win that game, hey, that's the best Bills team that exists in history. Does that say more about that team right then and there? Does that say more about the Bills' history? You can tell me about that. But when it comes regarding that comment, what do you not want Josh Allen completing those short passes? There was a time and place where Josh Allen could not hit anything 3 yards in front of him. Nothing. Jack nothing. He could not throw those slant passes. That pass that John Brown scored on, he could not throw it. He would have thrown it at his feet, and he would have been dropped, and it would have been a loss of yardage, not a touchdown. I don't want to hear anything about Josh Allen completing short passes. Do not give it to me. Josh Allen completed 72% of his passes. Whether he threw 50 passes that were 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, I don't care. Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls doing that. I don't care. Josh Allen can complete as many passes as far down the field as he likes. If he's completing them at a 72% clip, let him keep doing it.
I once saw Rich Gannon get to the Super Bowl doing it as well. I'm just going to throw his name out there. Yep. I'm just saying. It's the truth. It is the truth.
And he had a defense. It's similar to what we have. But again, guess what? 49 games, people, since we had a 300-yard passer. This is game 1 of the 2020 season, and we already have a passer that got 300 yards. So keep that in mind.
Right. Oh, injury updates. Injury updates. I know a lot of people asking about Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. Really no updates yet. I mean, Clayton, Fred, you know some of the injuries. You usually do all that stuff. So what you got for injuries?
Yeah, the only thing I heard with Milano is it's a hamstring injury. and I guess he's been dealing with it. So he left. He didn't come back. The only thing that's kind of stands out to me was Tremaine Edmonds went to the locker room with a shoulder injury. He came back out and he had no shoulder pads on. That's the only thing we know as of right now. So we don't know any of the severity. We probably won't know until Monday when McDermott does his news conference.
Right. And Tyler Dotson actually looked very good today. Actually, I think Tyler Dotson is possibly throwing his name in the hat for the other third linebacker spot going forward. And actually, I'm going to go a step further because we have to talk about salary cap, and obviously a little early with Milano getting hurt again. Now, I'm not saying he's going to miss any extended time, but if he does, this would be the third time he's missed a little bit of extended time here?
Yes.
Dotson.
Well, if you talk about Dobson, you also got to bring in A.J. Klein. A.J. Klein was one of our top leading tacklers, and hats off to Dotson for getting his first career sack today as well.
I'm sorry. But Klein looked like crap. I didn't like Klein today. I just didn't. He was probably the worst performance on the defensive side of the ball. I hate to burst the bubble there, but when I see him tackling Le'Veon Bell 3 yards up the field so he doesn't score a touchdown, that's when I know A.J. Klein wasn't doing much to help for the Bills defense. That's when I was concerned about Matt Milano leaving the game. But once I saw Terrell Dotson flying around like a maniac, making plays like he was supposed to be on that 53-man roster a year ago, hey, that's what I like to see. And I completely agree with you, Jeremy. We have to keep an eye on Terrell Dotson, potentially not just fighting for that third linebacker spot, but hey, maybe relieving the Bills of that $13.5 million that Milano's going to demand come next offseason. So I guess we'll see.
Right. Yep. Just saying it could happen. But hey, guys, I mean, who's going live? Who's going live next this week? I mean, we have our own live lineup too here at Cold Front. Who's going live next? What we got?
Might be me.
Is it you?
It might be me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Are you going live Tuesday?
We'll see. There's a chance. There's a chance. But if I don't go live Tuesday, that means the first live show of the week will be with who?
Tuesday?
Okay,
if you don't, I'll be live Thursday night with Zoe Alexander.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't catch the first show, make sure you guys catch the next one because Zoe told everything the Bills need to do. I mean, insight. I mean, I didn't have to say anything. Zoe is the man, so make sure you catch that show. You're not going to get better insight than from Lorenzo Alexander. And if you got somebody to give you better insight, please bring him on, and I'll make sure that he proves them wrong. But I'm just saying, you got this. We had the Saturday night tailgate with you and Mookie last night. Mookie Hawkins.
He's a man. I love Mookie. He's awesome.
That was cool. That was good. We'll be live some point this week. Make sure you guys are looking for all the podcasts. The Bills Overtime Podcast is coming back around, right?
Yes, sir. The Overtime Podcast with Jeff Uvino and myself. We got some exciting news in the near future. I don't really know it's either this week, next week. I guess we'll find out. You guys will find out. All you have to do is stay tuned. But we will keep putting podcasts out on all the platforms, Apple, Spotify. We're on Spreaker now, Anchor. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find me and my friend Jeff Uvino. Hey, don't forget to listen to the Yak Podcast with Jeremy Turner Montgomery and James Mallory.
Well, and Fred got something in development too over there. Fred, what you got in development over there?
The Sideline Podcast. We're working on that right now. We're just trying to fine tune it, but it'll be out there as well.
All right, it's coming out too. So, hey, CFR is going to be everywhere. And hopefully when COVID season, we'll be in your backyard again. Masked up, but in your backyard again. So, hey, guys, make sure that, like I said, once again, make sure you guys are going to Avalanche Healthcare page, Brian Allman's page. If any of your Bills Mafia health needs, make sure you're going over to Cold Socks page to get all your Bills Mafia sock wear. Like I said, if you're not wearing Colds, I don't know what you're wearing. I mean, you're not well protected if you're not. They protect you. Trust me. And they're good luck on game days. I have a lot of good luck wearing those socks on game days. So, guys, great show. Bills open up the season 27-17 win over the Jets. Could have been a lot more. Josh Allen goes for 300 yards. I can sleep well tonight. I'm sure you guys can sleep well tonight. Hopefully all you guys sleep well tonight. Be safe, be happy, and be well. Any final thoughts?
Hey, man, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find it right there in the bottom right corner at Cold Front Report _Bills News on Instagram. We are piping on Instagram. We have a lot. Hey, you guys are doing a hell of a job running up our followers. You guys are engaging, liking all of our stuff, commenting on all of our stuff. And you're even more engaging on Twitter. You guys just got us to the 3,000 follower mark. I mean, that's a huge milestone for that Twitter account from where it started out. And hey, thank you guys for always being engaging. Stay tuned to that Twitter account. John Sparaco, shout out to one of our writers, John Sparaco, who's been helping out on Twitter account a lot. He's killing it on there. Hey, be sure to follow us everywhere to get the most engaging posts that you will find. across the web from any Bills page, any Bills group, anybody. Because 9 times out of 10, they're probably copying us.
Yeah, you know that Cold Front Report covers all the Bills news and updates. Just hit 13,000 followers on our page. So if you're not following us, make sure to follow us. Let's get us up to 15,000.
Oh, man. These
And if you're not following, Jeremy's going to have to get the machete. The machete.
We don't play with machetes anymore.
We out of here. We out of here, guys. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good night.